I will just give a short introduction on the Flemish policy, and then my colleague Edward van Keer will take over because he will focus more on how we periods of severe drought. Next slide, please. Yes, we developed a Flemish adaptation plan, a new Flemish adaptation plan for 2021 till 2030 by the end of 2018, but it hasn't been adopted yet by the Flemish government. But we already use it as our yeah, maybe not like an adopted policy, but the context has already changed a lot. So I think it's more relevant than the actual Flemish adaptation plan that will end by the end of this year. In that plan, for example, it was adopted in 2013, and in that time, were not that severe like we had the past few years. So we changed also the approach of the plan. The former plan, or the actual plan, had a rather sectoral approach. We changed the approach for the new plan to be more integrated on mitigation and adaptation, and to search for mutual synergies. In the plan, we defined 5 thematic strategies. The first one is towards climate adaptive and climate neutral environment, society, buildings, and mobility infrastructure. The second one is to minimize risks on water shortage and flooding. So there comes the drought aspect. The third one is to maximize green-blue networks, but in this one, drought is also an issue. Circular economy, and towards a climate adaptive and circular agriculture and food chain. Next slide, please. We also developed 3 transversal strategies. The first one is to focus research, innovation, and communication on the chosen strategies. The second one is to promote horizontal and vertical governance and participation processes, sensibilization and behavioral change. And the third one is to promote coherence between climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction. Then we also have some chapters about the concrete implementation on finance and on monitoring and evaluation of the plan. Next slide, please. Climate change in Flanders, the effects of climate change are, I think, the same regions, also in our neighboring countries. Temperature rise, heat island effect, drought, extreme precipitation and flooding, and sea level rise. The Flemish Environmental Agency developed a portal site, the climate portal site, which contains data and projections for every Flemish municipality. So you can really see for your municipality what will be the expected effects of climate change in the different scenarios. For example, on drought, on flooding, on heat island, heat stress. The maps at the lower part of the slide show the results of a study on heat effects, and then you can see that by 2030 you already have the highlights, you see the city of Brussels in the southern part of the Flemish region. Well, it is a different region, but it was included in the study. But you also see the highlights of the different bigger cities in Flanders. So you can really see the effects, and all these data are available on the climate portal site of the Flemish Environmental Agency. Next slide, please. When we look at droughts in the new Flemish adaptation plan, we see that we have different measures in the different strategies that try to cope with the problems of drought. These are more measures on the long term and preventive measures like to make choices on land use in river basins, decrease the area of paved space, green-blue networks in cities and municipalities in agricultural and industrial areas, adaptive management of natural areas, and realization of climate buffers in urban areas, as we also do around for the Flemish part around Brussels. Then the limitation of water use in industry and stimulation of reuse of water. Also the collaboration between, for example, agricultures and industry in the reuse of water, and specific adaptive measures in agriculture, increase of organic matter in soils, avoid soil compaction, etc. Next slide, please. If he's there to present the second part.
Yes, hello everybody. Thank you, Griet, for handing me for giving me the word. So I'll talk a little bit in short about what our drought and water scarcity management in Flanders. This is all developed very recently. Before 2017, we didn't really do a lot around it. We had some actions that are connected with it, but there was no real water scarcity plan existing, and also we didn't have a really reactive scheme in place. We developed this the last 3 years, and here you see what we have come up with so far. So for the moment we have defined 4 levers, link them to the measures being taken, so not really to one-on-one on the weather situation, but really on are we taking measures or not. So in a green situation, normal situation, then we take, that's the situation where we have no measures in place. If we are entering a yellow level, that means that one or more sectors or organizations are taking local measures. And if we go to a coordinated approach of those measures, then we go to an orange situation. And this is so far the worst we have had. We had last year and the year before, we had some weeks where we had the orange level in place. And actually the orange level is already also in place this year since a couple of weeks, as we have experienced the driest spring season ever recorded in Flanders and in Belgium. Summer maybe could be even a drier summer than the 3 summers we had before. Let's hope we don't end up in the red level this summer. We haven't needed it so far, but in the red level, this would mean that we have a crisis coordination, would mean that we have no water in more than one community, and that the governor or the minister needs to take over. So we we can go to the next slide. Yes. So here you see how it works a little bit with all the colors there. So at the right you see the green at the bottom. It's the level 0. It's the normal situation. Then it's just the water agencies are taking care of everything. But we also have a project group who is monitoring indicators, and they decide, well, there are people from all the agencies in there, and they decide together if they need to go to a yellow level, and if they think after that they need to go to an orange level, then they contact people from the task force Drought and the Drought Commission and say, okay, we think we need to take coordinated actions, and then this Drought Commission takes over. This is on the Flemish level. Next to that, we also have on the provincial level, we have drought commissions in each of the 5 Flemish provinces. So we also keep in contact with them. And we noticed in 2018 that this was not really well coordinated. So in 2019, we decided to coordinate a little bit better between the provincial drought commissions and the Flemish Drought Commission. And this you can see on the next slide. So we decided that every week when there is a drought situation, or even if there is no drought situation, that all the data is gathered on Monday morning, and that on Monday afternoon during the summer season, this project group will come together and they will evaluate the data. And if it's needed to go on a higher level to coordinate measures, then we will meet on Tuesday morning with the task force and on Tuesday afternoon with the Drought Commission on the Flemish level. And afterwards, then the provincial drought commissions can meet on Wednesday or on Thursday morning. And then if we need to take coordinated actions on Thursday afternoon, all the measures can be sent to the press and can be announced to all the mayors and local authorities in general. So in this way, it's more coordinated. Every week we have things that we can work on. And so also last year, you can show the next slide. So we talked with everybody and we asked everybody in advance to fill in this calendar so that we know beforehand when each of the drought commissions, be it on the Flemish level or on the provincial level, when they will meet, if it is needed. If it's not needed, then the meetings are cancelled, but if it's needed, then we know when the meetings will take place. And we also have all the contact persons with email addresses and telephone numbers, so we can stay in close contact. Next slide. We communicate everything through a website. You can see the name here, op de hoogte van droogte.be. So here we communicate to all people, and more detail. What? Okay. So, and if you need to see more data, you can find it on our other website, waterinfo.be, which also has monthly reports. Next slide. So for the drinking water, there is a different scheme. I just show it here, but I'm not really involved in it, but it's very complicated. So on the right side, you see the story that I just explained, where we have all the people who are active in the project group and in the task force and drought commission. And next to that, if it's concerning drinking water, there is another scheme in place as well. but we are in contact with those colleagues. Next slide. Then, of course, very important for you to know, there is some interregional cooperation in Belgian meeting about water scarcity and droughts. And starting then, we are sending all our mails of the Flemish Drought Commission also in CC to the some colleagues of the Walloon region, Brussels region, and of the Netherlands. We also offered it to the French people, but they were not interested. It's all in Dutch, of course, the mails. So, but they can also get the mails if they want to. Also from that moment on, we started receiving reports in Flanders of the water scarcity and drought crisis meetings from the Walloon region. There were already informal contacts between certain colleagues, and we also started a tradition of informal meetings to share experiences between the Netherlands and Flanders already since the end of 2016. And this is because at the end of 2016, so before the dry years started, we actually decided in Flanders that we would make a first water scarcity and drought management plan, which will be incorporated in the water and river basin plans of 2022 till 2027. So this first, okay, so.
Can we round up, Edward?
Yeah, we can round up, yes. Okay, we can skip this slide, I think, and go to the last one. So about this first Flemish water shortage and drought risk management plan. So this is being prepared. Actually, it has been approved in our coordination commission integrated water management this morning as we speak. Because action plan on the short term 2019-2021 with 66 actions, and we got some extra money, 4 million extra money from the Flemish government. And so in the new river basin management plans, there will be also integrated this water shortage and drought risk management plan. And you will be able to read all about it starting somewhere at the 15th of September, but because then this plan will be open for public consultation. That's all.
Thank you, Griet and Edward. We had a nice musical appearance in the back